Cal was a lonely man who lived on a broken moon. The moon had no name anymore. It was once a busy place with ships and trade, but now it was only metal, dust, and silence. Cal didn't mind. He wasn't looking for people. He only wanted scrap. Every morning, Cal woke up inside his old rusted ship, the Cinder. It didn't fly very well, but it still worked. He put on his tool belt, grabbed his scanner, and went out searching. Old crashed ships were everywhere. Some were alien, some were human. Cal had a map in his head of where the best pieces were. Today, he followed a strange reading on his scanner power signal coming from the North Crater. This better be worth the fuel, Cal muttered to himself. He moved carefully, his boots kicking up gray dust as he walked. After climbing over a broken ridge, he saw it a giant alien ship, half buried in the rocks. Its metal was black and green, and strange symbols glowed faintly on its side. Cal had never seen this type before. It looked both old and advanced. His heart beat faster. If he could pull something useful from this, he could trade it for months of food and supplies. He entered through a jagged hole in the ship's side. It was dark inside. His helmet light flickered as he walked down a tilted hallway. Dead lights. Broken panels. No sign of life. But the signal was still strong. After passing to more sections, he reached a sealed door. The power signal was coming from behind it. Cal worked on the panel. Sparks flew, and the door slowly opened. Inside was a small chamber, and in the middle of it a pod. It was made of clear glass and silver metal. Inside the pod floated a small alien baby, glowing faintly with blue energy. Cal froze. "What the?" he whispered. The baby had soft purple skin, tiny horns on her head, and silver eyes. She looked peaceful. The pod seemed to be keeping her safe alive. Cal checked the readings. Everything around her was built for high security. This wasn't just a survival pod. It was something more. Is this royal tech? Cal asked himself. His mind raced. He didn't want trouble. But this was valuable. Someone would pay a lot for a royal pod, maybe even enough to leave this moon forever. Cal bit his lip. The baby moved slightly inside, as if sensing him. Then, her silver eyes opened. The pod made a soft hiss. The front slowly opened. Cal stepped back. He expected alarms, maybe gas, maybe robots, but nothing happened. The baby just looked at him. Her tiny hand reached out. Cal didn't know what to do. Hey, he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." She blinked, tilted her head, and made a soft sound. A moment later, his helmet's translator buzzed and spoke in a soft voice. "Dad." Cal's eyes widened. "Wait, what? No, I'm not your..." She giggled and reached for him again. Cal stood there, unsure of everything. He looked around the broken ship. No one else was coming. No guards. No signals. This baby had been alone for a long time. His hand shook as he reached out and picked her up gently. She was warm, small. She didn't cry. Instead, she snuggled against his chest and closed her eyes. "Okay," Cal whispered. "You win. But just until I find someone else to take you." He walked back to his ship with the pod parts and the baby in his arms. When he entered the Cinder, he placed her in the soft seat next to his. She looked at everything with wide eyes. When he started the engines, she clapped once. "What do I even call you?" he asked. "You need a name." She pointed at herself. Lumi, that your name." She nodded once. Cal sighed. "Great. Lumi it is." As they flew away from the ruined moon, Cal tried to plan what to do. He would take her to the nearest trade post and ask questions. Maybe someone knew her species. Maybe someone wanted her back. But deep down, Cal had a strange feeling like things were about to change forever. When he looked over, Lumi was already asleep, holding onto his arm. And in that quiet moment, for the first time in many years, Cal didn't feel alone. The stars outside Cal's ship moved slowly as he guided the Cinder through deep space. The ship creaked and hummed, old but still holding together. Lumi sat in the co-pilot's seat, watching lights flicker on the dashboard with wonder in her wide silver eyes. She was calm, even when the ship shook a little from passing debris. Most babies would cry. Lumi only looked at Cal and tilted her head like she was trying to understand everything. Cal had known many aliens, but never one like her. He gave her a protein bar. She sniffed it, touched it with her finger, and then smiled as she took a bite. Yum, she said. Cal chuckled. You're learning fast. He wasn't sure what to do next. His plan was simple. Take Lumi to the nearest trade post. Ask around, maybe find someone who knew what species she was, or who was looking for her. But part of him didn't want to hand her over to just anyone. This is getting complicated. Cal muttered as he checked the scanner. He wasn't wrong to be careful. Back on the moon, when he powered up the royal pod, it had sent out a faint signal, and that signal had traveled far. Now, across the galaxy, others had noticed. Someone powerful was looking for Lumi, not to help her, but to claim her. On a dark ship far from Cal's route, a tall figure stood before a large screen. His face was hidden behind armor, and his eyes glowed red. This was Lord Valix, a feared warlord known for crushing royal bloodlines. He had received the signal, and he knew what it meant. She's alive, he said in a cold voice. The last heir, a soldier behind him, stepped forward. Shall we prepare a fleet? Valix raised a hand. No, not yet. Send to bounty. Ships, track the signal. Do not fail. Back on the Cinder. Cal finally reached the edge of a small neutral zone, a place known as Driftport Delta. It was a floating station used by traders, smugglers, and sometimes bounty hunters. Cal docked quietly, covering Lumi with a soft blanket and carrying her close. Inside the station, he kept his head down. He walked past tall aliens with glowing eyes, robots selling gear, and food stalls that smelled like rust and oil. He found an old contact named Brick, a trader who owed him a favor. Cal. Brick blinked with surprise. You're still alive. Barely, Cal said. I need info. He didn't say much, just showed Brick a scan of Lumi's pod. Brick went pale. Where did you get that? Moon wreck. Ship had royal markings. Brick leaned closer. You need to get out of here. Now. Why? Because bounty hunters are already looking. Word is, the warlord who destroyed her family wants her. There's a big price on anything linked to that bloodline. Cal clenched his jaw. She's just a kid. Brick shook his head. Doesn't matter. To some, she's a threat. To others, a tool. Nobody's gonna see her as a baby. Cal walked away quickly, heart pounding. As he reached the docking bay, he noticed the strange figures near his ship. They were talking in low voices and scanning the hull. Cal didn't wait. He ran. They saw him and shouted. One raised a weapon. Cal ducked behind a crate and drew his old blaster. He fired a warning shot, forcing them back. Lumi peeked out from the blanket, her eyes glowing slightly. Not now, Lumi. Cal whispered. Hold tight. He hit a control on his wrist, opening the Cinder's hatch remotely. The ship's engine started humming. The bounty hunters chased him. Cal ran fast, weaving through crates and fuel lines. He reached the ramp, turned, and fired again. One hunter fell. The other took cover. As he jumped into the ship, Cal slammed the controls. The ramp closed, and the ship blasted away from the station. Come on, old girl, he said to the ship. Don't fail me now. Space twisted as they enter hyperspeed. Cal fell back in his chair, breathing hard. Lumi touched his face gently. You okay? He laughed softly, even though he was still shaking. You're asking me? Yeah, just a little tired of running. Lumi crawled into his lap and hugged him. Cal didn't push her away. We need to find someone who can help, he said out loud. Someone who knows why you matter so much. But deep down, he already knew. She wasn't just a royal baby. She was the last of something powerful. And now, she trusted him. Cal stared out at the stars. He used to be a man who wanted nothing but scrap and quiet. Now, he had a baby alien queen on his ship, calling him dad, and a galaxy full of enemies on his tail. And strangely, he didn't want to run from it. He wanted to fight for her. The stars outside the Cinder shimmered like soft lights in a black ocean. Inside the ship, Cal sat with tools in his lap, trying to repair one of the heat regulators. Ever since their escape from Driftport Delta, the ship had been acting worse than usual. The engines rattled, the shields flickered, but what worried him most wasn't the ship, it was Lumi. She sat on the floor, quietly humming to herself, her small hands playing with a broken metal piece like it was a toy. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, and sometimes when she touched things, they sparked. At first, Cal thought it was static, but now he wasn't sure. "Lumi," he said softly, "what are you, really?" She looked up at him with a smile and pointed at her chest. "Me?" He chuckled. "Yeah, that's true. You're just you, still." Questions filled his mind. She spoke better each day. She learned quickly, faster than any child he had ever seen. And that strange energy around her, was it part of her species or something else? The ship's alarm suddenly beeped. Cal jumped up and checked the screen. A small fighter was following them, not close enough to attack, but close enough to track. "Great," he muttered. "They found us again." He needed a place to hide, somewhere no one would expect a human scavenger and a royal child. After checking the star map, he found a forgotten system, Zeta 9. It had no trade routes, no big cities, just old stations and mining rocks. It wasn't safe, but it was quiet. He set the course and looked at Lumi. "We're going to lay low for a while." "All right," she nodded. "You safe?" "I safe." His heart softened. "Yeah, kid, I'll keep you safe." They landed on a hollow asteroid station that Cal had used once long ago. It was dusty and filled with old crates, but the power still worked. Cal made a small space cozy with blankets, food, and lights. Lumi looked around and giggled when she found an old chair that spun in circles. While she played, Cal set up alarms round the station. He also fixed parts of his ship with whatever tools he had. He had to be ready. Someone would come eventually. During quiet moments, Cal taught Lumi small things. How to speak more clearly, how to tell colors, how to use a spoon. She learned fast, and sometimes, when she laughed or clapped, the lights in the room flickered. Cal noticed but said nothing. One night, while Lumi was sleeping, Cal sat by the ship and looked up at the black sky. The silence was heavy. He remembered his past, how he used to work with a crew, how he left after losing friends in a pirate attack. He chose this lonely life because it hurt less. But now, Lumi had changed that. She needed him, and strangely, he needed her too. His thoughts were interrupted when Lumi woke up crying softly. Cal rushed over. Hey, what's wrong?" he asked. Kneeling beside her, she reached for him, tears in her eyes. "Bad dream. Fire. Loud. Falling." Cal pulled her into his arms. "It's okay. It's over. I got you." She whispered. "They came. Hurt family. I hide." His breath caught. Was that a memory? From when her royal ship was attacked? "You remember that?" he asked gently. She nodded. "You came. You saved me." He didn't correct her. He had meant to save her. Not at first, but now he would protect her with everything he had. He wiped her tears and smiled. "You're safe now. No one's going to take you from me." She rested her head against his chest and whispered, "Dad." That one word made his chest tighten. It didn't feel strange anymore. It felt right. The next day, while checking the station's outer scanners, Cal saw a signal. Not bounty hunters, this one was different. It was from an old friend, a pilot named Rena. She was nearby, docking at another mining station. Cal hesitated. Rena was smart, and she didn't always follow the law, but she was loyal. Maybe she could help. "Lumi," he said. "Want to meet a friend?" She tilted her head. "Friend?" He smiled. "Yeah, someone I trust." He sent a coded message and waited. Rena's reply came quick. "You? Alive? This must be serious. I'll be there soon." Cal looked at Lumi, who was now drawing strange shapes on the wall with her glowing fingers. Shapes that looked almost like symbols. "Yeah," Cal whispered. "This is serious." He didn't know what came next, but he knew he wasn't alone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, he was the right person to stand beside this strange little queen. Rena's ship arrived 2 hours after Cal sent the signal. It was a small red transport called the Silver Wing, fast and quiet, just like its pilot. Cal stood outside the docking bay with Lumi in his arms as the ship landed gently on the rocky floor of the hollow station. When the ramp opened, Rena stepped out. She wore a worn jacket, her dark hair tied back, and her eyes narrowed the moment she saw Cal. "You look worse than usual," she said, walking toward him. "Nice to see you too." Cal replied with a half-dashed smile. Rena stopped in front of him, eyes dropping to the child in his arms. "Is that a baby?" "Long story," Cal said. "Her name's Lumi." Lumi peeked out from under the blanket and smiled shyly. "Hi," Rena blinked. "She speaks." "She learns fast," Rena crossed her arms. "Cal, what have you gotten yourself into?" He looked serious now. "She's not just any kid. She's royal, the last of her kind." Rena's expression changed. She stepped back and looked around. "You sure no one followed you?" "Pretty sure," he said. "But they're looking. Bounty hunters already came after us." Rena sighed. "You've really stepped in it this time." They went inside the station. Cal explained everything, how he found the pod, the bounty hunters, the strange powers Lumi showed, and how she called him Dad. Rena listened closely, nodding now and then but saying nothing. Finally, she asked, "Do you trust me?" Cal nodded. "Always." "Then I'll help you," she said. "But we need to move soon. You can't hide here forever." They made plans. Rena said she knew a place, a hidden archive built by Lumi's ancestors long before the wars. It was hidden on a planet forgotten by most maps. Only those who carried royal blood could enter. "How do you know about this?" Cal asked. Rena shrugged. "Heard stories. Never thought they were real. And if we go there, maybe we'll find answers, or maybe we'll find something worse. But it's a start." Before they could leave, an alarm beeped. Cal checked the screen. "No," he whispered. "They found us." A bounty ship was entering the asteroid belt. Then another. Both were marked with the warlord's symbol, sharp red lines shaped like claws. Rena ran to her ship. "Get Lumi to safety. I'll cover you. You'll be outnumbered. So, you forget who you're talking to?" She grinned and disappeared into the Silver Wing. Cal grabbed Lumi, who was already holding his jacket tight. "We're going to run again, kid. Ready?" She nodded, her small hand glowing faintly. "Boom boom time?" He stared at her. "What?" She pointed toward the enemy ships on the screen. "They won't hurt." I stopped. "No," Cal said quickly. "You don't need to hurt anyone. Just stay with me." They raced toward the cinder. Behind them, Rena's ship fired the first blast. Red lasers lit the sky as the bounty hunters opened fire. The entire asteroid station shook. Cal jumped into the pilot's seat, started the engines, and blasted off into the black sky. Lumi sat beside him, silent now, her hands glowing brighter as they dodged laser shots. "Hold on," Cal shouted. The ship shook again as a blast hit the rear shields. Warning lights blinked. But the jump system was still working. Come on. Cal pressed the button. The stars stretched, and the ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving the bounty hunters behind. Everything went quiet. Cal leaned back, breathing hard. Lumi looked at him and whispered, "You safe?" He nodded. "Thanks to you and Rena." "She friend, yeah?" Cal said softly. "She's one of the good ones." He looked at Lumi's small glowing hands. "What were you trying to do?" "Back there. Protect," she said. "Like you protect me." His throat tightened. "You don't have to protect me. You're just a kid." "But I'm strong," she whispered. "I feel it." Cal stared at her. "Yeah, I know." They floated through hyperspace for hours before reaching the planet Rena mentioned. It was cold, covered in snow and mist, with mountains that looked like old stone giants. But deep under the ice was a forgotten structure. The Royal Archive. Cal held Lumi's hand as they stepped into the ruins. The doors, long sealed shut, glowed faintly when Lumi touched them. They opened. A soft light welcomed them inside. And Cal knew then this wasn't just about hiding anymore. It was about discovering the truth, and it was only just beginning. The door to the archive opened slowly, with soft blue lights running along its edges. Cal held Lumi's hand tightly as they stepped inside. The air inside was warm, even though the world outside was frozen. The walls were made of smooth silver stone, covered in glowing symbols. Everything was quiet, like the place had been sleeping for a very long time. Lumi looked around with wide eyes. She didn't speak, but her fingers glowed softly, and the symbols on the walls lit up as they passed. "It's reacting to you," Cal whispered. "This place, it knows you." They walked through a long hallway that led to a large round chamber. In the center stood a crystal pedestal. As they stepped closer, Lumi let go of Cal's hand and walked to it. The crystal floated slightly above the stand and spun slowly. When she touched it, the whole room lit up. Images appeared in the air, tall figures wearing royal robes, speaking in a language Cal didn't understand. Then one image stepped forward and turned toward Lumi. The translator in Cal's helmet clicked on. The voice was soft, wise, and kind. "Child of the royal blood," it said, "you have returned." Lumi tilted her head. "Who are you?" "I am the last memory of your ancestors. You are the final heir. Your blood unlocks what was hidden. And now, the truth must be told." Cal stepped beside Lumi. "What truth?" The memory looked at him. "You are not one of us. And yet, she chose you. You protect her. So you will hear this too." The light changed. New images appeared of planets, ships, and great wars. The memory explained how Lumi's people once held a powerful secret, a special energy called the core light. It could power worlds, heal the wounded, and even calm violent storms. Only the royal family could control it. But when enemies learned of the power, they attacked. One by one, the royal bloodline fell. Lumi's parents sent her away in a pod, hoping she might survive. The power inside her, the memory said, is not yet complete, but it is growing. She must learn to use it, or others will try to use her instead. Cal looked down at Lumi. "She's just a child. Children grow," the voice said. "And her time is coming." The light faded. The crystal dimmed. Lumi's face was serious. "I saw my mom and dad," she whispered. "Yeah," Cal said softly. "You did." She looked up at him. "They wanted me to live. And you are living," he said. "And I'm going to keep you safe." Just then, Cal's comm buzzed. "Cal," Rena's voice came through, full of static. "We've got trouble." He clicked the comm. "What kind?" "They found me. Bounty ships. 2. Maybe 3. I'm leading them away. But they know you're on that planet." Cal's heart sank. "How long do we have?" "Not long. Get out of there." Now. Double quotes. Cal looked around the archive. There was no time to search more. They had the truth. Now they had to run. "Come on, Lumi," he said, lifting her into his arms. "We're leaving." They rushed out of the chamber, the doors closing behind them. Outside, snow had begun to fall harder. The wind howled, and the cold bit at Cal's face. He ran back to the ship, boots crunching against the ice. As they reached the cinder, Cal saw ships entering the sky above them. Dark, sharp ships with red lights. Bounty hunters again. He powered up the engines. Lumi sat beside him, calm but watching. "We're not ready for a fight," Cal muttered. "But we might not have a choice." The ship lifted off, lasers fired from above. Cal dodged and twisted through the clouds, but the cinder wasn't built for speed. Shields dropped to 50%. "They're closing in," Cal said. "We can't outrun them." Lumi stood up on her seat and held out her glowing hands toward the window. "Lumi." "No," Cal shouted. "You can't." But she didn't attack. She whispered something soft. The air in the ship changed. Calm quiet. Outside, the snowstorm grew stronger. The wind turned wild, and white fog filled the sky. The enemy ships lost control. Their sensors blinked. Their weapons missed. She's using the storm," Cal said in awe. Lumi turned and smiled. "No more boom boom. Just hide." She wasn't hurting them, just keeping them away. Cal guided the ship into the clouds and punched the jump drive. As they disappeared into hyperspace, Lumi climbed into Cal's lap and rested her head against him. "Did good?" she asked. He smiled and kissed the top of her head. "You did great," she yawned. "Dad, stay." "Always," he said. And for the first time, He knew it was true. The cinder floated silently through deep space. Its engines hummed low, resting after the fast escape inside the ship. Cal checked the systems while Lumi slept peacefully in her small cot. She was wrapped in a warm blanket, holding a tiny stuffed toy that Rena had given her before the last. Fight Daka looked over at her and smiled. She had just saved them with the storm. Not with weapons. Not with anger, but with calm power and a kind heart. He still couldn't understand how such a small girl could carry something so big inside her. He leaned back in the pilot's seat and sighed. The galaxy was watching now. Too many had seen Lumi's powers. Sooner or later, someone stronger than bounty hunters would come. I need help, Cal whispered to himself. And he knew exactly where to go. He set course for a place called Vale's Edge, a hidden base built inside an old asteroid. Many years ago, it had been used by rebels, smugglers, and lost cousins. Now, a few old friends still lived there, people who owed Cal favors and didn't ask questions. The journey took 6 hours. When they arrived, Lumi was awake, watching stars from the window. Where we go? She asked softly. To see someone. Who can help? Cal replied. Someone good. Like Rena? Maybe not as funny, but yes. They landed deep inside the asteroid, where metal tunnels and soft lights lined the walls. Lumi held Cal's hand as they walked through the quiet halls. At the end of the main corridor stood a man with metal arms and a wide smile. His name was Dax. He had once been a fighter pilot, then a builder, then something else entirely. Now, he ran this safe haven for outcasts. Cal, Dax said, arms open. Didn't think I'd see you again. Same, Cal said. But I need a place to hide. For her. Dax looked down at Lumi. And who's this little one? Lumi stepped forward, looked him in the eyes, and said proudly, Lumi. He's my dad. Dax blinked. Well, okay then. Inside, they found a quiet room and warm food. Lumi ate happily, and Cal explained everything to Dax: the archive, the bounty hunters, the storm. Dax listened, face growing more serious with each word. You're in deeper than I thought, Dax said at last. She's not just a lost royal. She's something more. She doesn't know what she is, Cal said. And I don't want anyone else using her. Dax nodded. There's someone who might help. An old healer. Alien. Lives alone on a quiet moon. He once worked with royal families, maybe even hers. Can you take us? I can give you the route. But it's dangerous. The warlord's fleet has been spreading in that region. Cal looked at Lumi. She was humming softly and playing with her toy. We'll take the risk, he said. The next morning, Cal and Lumi left Vale's Edge. Dax gave them fuel and supplies and a small glowing charm to hide their signal for a short time. The journey to the healer's moon took 2 days. On the second day, a problem came. Their signal jammer stopped working. The ship's alarm lit up red. We've been tracked, Cal said, checking the radar. Small fleet, 5 ships. Lumi climbed into the co-pilot's seat. Bad ones? Very bad, he said. He powered up the shields and flew toward a small field of drifting ice rocks. Maybe, just maybe, they could lose the ships inside. The enemy. Fire. The cinder shook hard. Lights flickered. Cal gritted his teeth and pushed the engines harder. He weaved between the floating ice chunks. Blast flew past them. The hull was hit twice. Then a loud alarm screamed. They hit the stabilizer. Cal said, I can't keep this up. Lumi stood again. Her hand started glowing. Lumi-no, Cal said. Don't burn yourself out. But Lumi didn't try to attack. She reached out and touched the dashboard gently. Her fingers glowed brighter. Then dash silence. The enemy ship stopped firing. On the radar, they drifted slowly, like they had shut down completely. Cal stared at the screen. What did you just do? Lumi sat down, breathing hard. I told them sleep. Just for now. You told ships to sleep? Cal asked, amazed. She nodded. They listen because I asked nice. He quickly jumped the ship out of danger. As they entered orbit around the healer's moon, Cal looked at Lumi. She was pale and tired but smiling. You keep saving us, he said softly. You saved me first. She whispered. He landed the ship near an old stone tower. At the top, an alien with glowing green eyes waited. You bring her, the healer said. I have waited a long time. Cal held Lumi in his arms. Can you help her? He asked. The healer nodded. I can help her learn and help you prepare, for the final war is coming. Cal looked at Lumi, then back at the healer. Then let's begin. The healer's tower stood tall on the quiet moon. Inside, Cal watched as Lumi practiced with the healer, whose name was Varun. Varun was patient and wise. He showed Lumi how to control the power inside her, how to focus the glowing energy in her hands, and how to calm her mind when it flared. You are strong, Varun said, but strength must be guided by heart and mind. Lumi listened carefully. She wanted to protect Cal. She wanted to protect everyone, but she was still small and scared sometimes. Cal spent days fixing the cinder with Varun's help. The healer had tools far beyond Cal's knowledge. Little by little, the ship began to shine again. One evening, as the three sat by a fire, Varun told them stories of Lumi's people, how they once lived in peace, guiding many worlds. But then came the warlord Valix. He wanted all the power for himself. He destroyed many families, leaving Lumi alone. You carry their hope, Varun said, looking at Lumi. But Valix will not stop. He will come. Cal's jaw tightened. Then we'll be ready. They spent weeks training. Lumi's power grew, and so did her confidence. She no longer feared the storm inside her. She could shape it, bend it, and use it to protect. One day, a signal came through Varun's ancient comm device. It was Rena. Her voice was urgent. Cal, Valix's fleet is closing fast. They found the healer's moon. You have less than a day. Cal looked at Lumi. It's time. Lumi stood tall. I ready. Varun nodded. Then we must make a choice, fight or hide. Cal shook his head. We fight, not just for Lumi, but for everyone who believes in peace. They prepared the cinder for battle. Reen arrived with a small squad of fighter ships. They were few but brave. As Valix's fleet entered the moon's orbit, the battle began. Lasers crossed the sky like lightning. The cinder flew through the chaos, dodging blasts. Cal piloted carefully, while Lumi used her power to disable enemy weapons without hurting anyone. Rena and her fighters attacked enemy ships, drawing fire away from Cal. The battle was fierce. At one point, Valix himself appeared on the comm, his voice booming. Surrender the child, he demanded, or be destroyed. Cal's voice was steady. She will never be yours. Valix laughed, foolish human. The fight grew worse. Cal saw a large enemy ship aiming a powerful beam at the healer's tower. Lumi. Now, Cal shouted. Lumi raised her hands. Light burst from her fingers, forming a glowing shield over the tower. The beam hit the shield and shattered into sparks. The enemy ships faltered. Then, Lumi focused all her power. A wave of blue energy spread from the moon, touching every ship in the fleet. Systems failed. Weapons shut down. Engines stalled. Valix's fleet was stopped. The silence was loud. Cal landed the cinder near the tower. Lumi ran to Cal and hugged him. Dad, she whispered. Rena and her fighters cheered. The battle was over. Valix's fleet retreated, defeated after the fight. Leaders from many planets arrived at the healer's moon. They bowed before Lumi, recognizing her as their true queen and protector. But Lumi looked at Cal. Dad, come too. Cal smiled, tears in his eyes, always. Lumi took Cal's hand, and together they stood before the crowd. Cal, once a lonely scavenger, had become a hero, a father, and protector of a baby queen who would one day change the galaxy. And in that moment, the stars shone brighter. The future was theirs.